Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Raila Odinga's presidential bid in 2027, coming clothed as a magic moment, must be interrogated deeply during this political season. And this is because election is not an event, but election is a process. Odinga should not put his support base in a cycle of emotional heartbreaks while keenly working behind the scene to hand William RUTO the second term. In the electorate, the voter must ask himself a very sober question. Why is Odinga in this? And in this podcast, we deeply interrogate the perceived Raila U-turn and look at the deep hand, the motive behind this move. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos, and thank you very much for supporting this podcast. Subscription is absolutely free, and in our podcast we give it a deeper perspective so that you get to understand something beyond the headlines. I'm just looking at the newspaper headlines today, just about this story. Of course, Nation did not give it prominence. I looked for it because I saw the Nation picked a more important story on teachers, police face SHA medical crisis. We'll go and look at that. But then story yake ikakuja hapo chini, Raila no deal on RUTO re-election. And if you look at that photo, you realize Raila is kind of smiling. That is the Daily Nation. If you check the Standard, I like them. The Standard have completely refused to glorify that story. Yeah, they have completely refused to glorify that story. And if you look at the headline is talking about a different story. Today we revealed the face of British soldier whose extradition from United Kingdom has been ordered by Kenya's High Court. Now, if you check the Standard, this face here, you will not see Raila's story there. The story about Raila is going to vie for 2027 is not here. Why? It's not being given prominence, and it's not supposed to be glorified for some reasons. And so that is why I'm also asking you to watch this podcast and let's interrogate. In fact, even before we move further, can you take a minute and get to the comment section and tell us your opinion? Why do you think Raila Odinga is talking about him going for 2027 seat? Maybe you can tell us. It doesn't matter on whose side you stand. When you listen to Odinga and look at his body language, and I've tried to edit it so that you get 3 minutes of this video. His 2027 perceived candidature that is saying that who is telling you that we don't have a candidate. I understand that for those who are the one-term battalion, you are tempted to celebrate that, okay, Odinga is jumping ship. But does it, you also need to maybe interrogate it further and ask. So if he's presidential, he's presenting his candidature, on whose interest is he advancing? Is he in it to win, or he's there on a more complex scheme? And that is why I want us to look at it beyond the headline. And please, let's have a listen at this Odinga statement.
I know you know the answer. There's a time to lead and a time to acknowledge cheers. Popularity surges and wanes. Cheering masters come, change and go. But solid service to the nation, brought against all odds, stands the test of history. Today, I charge you to soldier on in this cause. It is good for our people. It is good for our country. If you act out of conviction, if you put the people at the heart of your maneuvers, if you ensure that our actions are in line with our ideals as a party and our aspirations as a country, the lack of history will be on our side. And I've said, as has been said by Dr. Oscar Hotel there, he told you, stand for what is right for the party. And look at what we have signed. And we must remain as ODM. And we've signed and agreed that we'll work together up to 2027. We have not passed any resolutions as a party to say how we're going to go into the elections of 2027. So wherever you are, don't commit the party to some things which have not been discussed. Let those things be discussed first. We are ODM. Who's told you that ODM will not have a candidate in 2027? Who has told you? So first, think as ODM. We have a clear plan that we have negotiated and we've agreed on, and let us continue to implement that plan. Other decisions we'll take when the time comes. Finally, first, I want to thank Mbadi.
Now, of course, this is, I understand that indeed he's saying that when he agreed with the RUTO, there's nothing about 2022, about 2027. But again, since that deal was signed, it's been more than 8 months. Okay, it was signed, it was informally done last year and then signed officially in March this year. We are in September, so that is 6 months. For the last 6 months, Odinga really wants to tell us is when he is realizing that the two-term battalion have been talking. And they've been left to run the perception politics for President RUTO, even though I can excuse them, because sometimes when you see that leader praising the state, it's not because of an interest. It's not because he wants development or a road in his place. It's because he needs a tender there, a job here, and some money here and there. So sometimes it's never about it. The ODM boss is talking about who has told you ODM is going to be a candidate and going to have a candidate. At the same time, Odinga is the tool that has been sharpened on backing the president's policies and projects, while in this statement he's actually profiling critics like the Babu and Edwin Sifunas are as populist leaders. The 5 times presidential candidate that has failed to clinch the seat cannot lie to the public that you still want to vie and ride on William Ruto's scorecard. I listened to, most of you who listened to that video, there is a place he was even backing, the Adani deal, Adani that, and himself, he's been mourning the fact that Adani deal was even cancelled. And the principal question on some of these projects has never been that they're bad, that chai is bad, housing is bad. The population, or rather the big question has been on the technical know-how, on the how part, how it is being done. Yes, housing is good. The fact that you're collecting people's money, that has been the problem. Yes, chai is good. How it is being done, that private hospitals and some faith-based hospitals are being closed, and some hospitals claims zinaenda zingine. There have been a lot of questions around it. So I want us to look at this. I listened to some panelists in Hot 96, and a man I really love listening to, Kinuthia Fanyamambo. His position, or rather his argument on Raila's candidature, is what is going to give us the launch pad on this podcast. Have a listen.
Baba, who the people of Nyanza love so much, and they would kill and die for him, and go on the streets for him and take bullets for him, when he's on the ballot, 68% of them turn up for the election. Now there is a delusional human being who is thinking that without Baba on the ballot, that it will move from 68% to... Wajua niliona this fella, what's his name? Dennis Eggs, Itumbe, telling us at Nyanza they have 90%. Yeah. And I'm looking at Itumbe and asking him, when Baba, the man they love the most, is on the ballot, 68% of the ones are the ones who turn up. na saizo wametokea sana. What will make them turn out more to vote for William Ruto when Baba is not on the ballot? So sometimes you look at them, unawaonea huruma, because now from 68% you're talking about 33-34%. And also there are people who in Luo Nyanza have always waited for Baba's photo. Unaweka picha ya baba kwa posta yako kubwa kuliko yako. Unaenda MP, unaweka yako kadogo ya baba kubwa kabisa. Ushachaguliwa MP. Now, if Baba is not on the ballot 2027, it means you can put a key holder there. You can put a monkey. You can put anything. So independent candidates will win a lot of seats in Nyanza for the first time. So for Baba to maintain his lead in ODM with over 80 MPs in parliament, he must be on the ballot. But if he's looking at now losing his relevance, akina kwambia, if Baba is not on the ballot, wale watu wamezoea kuchaguliwa juu wameweka picha ya Baba kwa posta zao, all those guys are going to lose their seats. So Baba somehow will be on the ballot in 2027.
Nothing can be far from the truth. That is actually the truth. That is the truth. There is a group called Dual. Dual is a group that brings together members of parliament from the Luo nation. And we often get to peep what's going on that side. Since the politics of by-elections started, it has sent Odingas into panic. And Odinga is in sheer panic. Something is very clear, and opinions are divided as to RUTO clearly has been set up. Opinion has been divided. Let me start here. Opinion has been divided on whether Odinga should go for the seat or Odinga should support William Ruto. And at this point, just in the same breath, there is another argument I want us to listen to, that even as Odinga was getting to the handshake, yes, he's talked about the country, we needed to have a stable country, and we take some credit for that, and there is no problem that he steadied the ship. However, steadying the ship, his responsibility should not end as steadying the ship. Steadying the ship does not just mean that there is no protest. It only means, yes, we've stopped protest, but what caused the protest, we still address it. You cannot say, I came through to steady the ship, and so that we do not lose the country, while the country was complaining about a Adani deal, but at the same time you come and support Adani. So that's where we lose Raila in the middle of all this. But then, someone said something. Have a listen.
Baba is playing a game of wait and see. He wanted to know if I put my leg in this government, is there a possibility that it can give life to this entity, Raila Odinga, and what it stands for going into the next election? And it is appearing to him like there won't be life, definitely. First, from his own party, and then countrywide, supporters that were his, that were not necessarily ODM members. It will not work.
That was interesting. That in all this, there have been a question of Odinga will always want to reinvent himself. Look at how Uhuru's handshake reinvented him. Without the Uhuru handshake, some of us analyzed that politics at that time. Truth be said, without that Uhuru handshake, Raila would not have had quite a successful, that mounted presidential candidate. People tend to forget. Ruto won that election by around 200,000 votes. And really, some of us believe that it was not so clean. An argument for another day. So, with that, Odinga, he was here to say, yes, I've served the nation. But what is in it for me? And what is seen is a political deathbed being laid. Clearly, we understand that RUTO has set up an indirect campaign kitty, and it could be in the interest of president for a scenario be on table of Odinga also in the ballot. And that is what I'm saying. Odinga might be in the ballot not to win that election. but be part of a wider scheme that I'll try to look at here. And we will look at it in the outplaying scenarios when Odinga is in the ballot. But before that, there is one reason, not two. There is one reason why Odinga is under pressure, is in panic over the ODM party. And that is ODM party crumbling in the by-elections. I concur with Sifuna when Sifuna said in Citizen TV that for the first time, candidates are not scrambling for the ODM ticket. And something is absolutely wrong with that.
Yvonne, we have by-elections coming up. We try and talk to candidates. For the first time, people are not scrambling for our ticket. For the first time, I've never experienced anything like this. They are telling me, I want to be in parliament. I love ODM, but if I go with the ticket, I will lose. Because of your association with UDA, not because ODM is a bad party.
When Sifuna made this statement in Citizen TV, the two-term battalion, my MP Atandi and others, rained blows on Sifuna and were telling him even to leave the party. Even to leave the party. And let me tell you, do you know why what is now being hyped as ODM at 20 was changed? Just to be it was supposed to be NDC. And one of the push by those who are funding that MDC was supposed to make sure that Sifuna is kicked out. And we actually understand that in the event Sifuna was to be kicked out, even the president, the team were willing to fund that NDC. The moment Raila realized that state was deeply involved through the Wandais and Badis in that NDC, why do you think he changed and said, remember, we've had grassroots elections, so that ODM at 20 celebrations in Mombasa, God willing, I will attend it, because I'm also an ODM member, by the way. So, by the virtue of the move to kick out Sifuna failed, Raila realized, if I kick out Sifuna, I'm going to lose. And now changed the script. It's now ODM at 20. But let me get you to the by-elections, how they are crumbling. Let's go to Kasipul. In the ODM ticket, what Sifuna said has been vindicated. Only 3 people are going for the ODM ticket. That is Boydwere, the son to deceased Ongondowere, Newton Ogada, a candidate and former radio journalist, Ajombuta. I saw videos of Ajombuta really dishing out some money. And there have really questions about all that, or who is funding them over that. There have also been questions of state has also been trying to, support one candidate, one or the other, to upset ODM in that place. And leaders who are facing nomination, all the other candidates, for the first time, ODM was supposed to collect some money for nominations. Remember, to be nominated for ODM ticket, you need to pay 250,000. So imagine if you attend, the party has scooped around 2.5 million. Only 3. Philip Aronko, Manibior are amongst other candidates that have went to fringe parties or others have decided to go independent. And still in Homa Bay, the deputy governor, Oyugi Magwanga, who is the deputy to Wanga, was captured in this viral video decampaigning Boydwere, who is the preferred candidate for Wanga, who is Oyugi Magwanga's boss, and also the ODM preferred candidate.
Embe osetemangoa UDA no setemo nomination otemangoa uyombe otemangoa Odour. Koro makase pul bang no de. Makase pul bang no de. Odongo king. Omiyo in makawuone thung'owa ni en waywe pi wang'. Jok kaka jok mane idhi mane sama ni ibeto ji kacha, ng'ama noywe pi wang'gi? Ng'ama noywe pi wang'gi? Omiyo kik igo kura ni dhi ywe pi wang' ng'ama dhi beti gi beti. Bende kik wantiere e ka iti ng'ato mi thuol gi ng'ato mi rech ikang'o. Ng'ato mi thuol gi rech ikang'o. Ng'ato mi nyathi ondiek gi nyathi diel ikang'o.
Some of the things he's saying there is that, maybe let me just translate. He's saying that the days of political inheritance are done. In Malava, the son to Malulu Njendi lost in the UDN nominations. In Baringo, a relative of the former senator also lost. So, and he was asking, will this one, the son to Ngondowere, win? But you need to understand that Oyugi Magwanga was an MP in Kasipul. So he comes from that place. So he's a veteran politician there. I understand he's also planning to go for that seat probably. He might not serve as a deputy governor for Homa Bay. He might choose to go for the Kasipul seat in 2027. And he's the person who went against Cyprian Awiti and really even won against Cyprian Awiti. He's understood to have won against Cyprian Awiti. And things have been very chaotic that side. Since after that, the ODM in Homa Bay is in rupture. There is a statement that has come from Millie Odhiambo, defending the son of Oyugima of Ngondowere over these accusations. And I just want to read for you this statement. I wish to encourage my good friend and brother, the Deputy Governor of Homa Bay County, to kindly take a different approach in relation to the candidature of Waidwere. It is in the public domain that Honorable Magwanga and the late Ngondowere were sworn political enemies. Their political competitions were often marked with a lot of violence, allegedly orchestrated by supporters of both parties. Honorable Ngondowere is dead. His son is vying. Honorable Magwanga does not need to support him, but does not need to further the political bile and antagonism for another generation. As the older person, he needed to stand on a such higher moral ground in relation to this young man. Do not smear him with alleged sins of the father. There are many decent ways of not supporting him that are more humane. To be honest, it feels almost like he's still fighting Ngondowere. Surely, how many times can one die? I urge you to be more of a father. Even our fathers disciplined us, but with love. I partly agree with Millie. I've seen the son of Ngondowere, and by the way, you cannot compare Boyd to the other candidates that have lost in Malava. And that gentleman, that gentleman has been on the ground. And if he will win that seat, ODM will just want to take credit because they have to, and that they are fond of doing that. But Boyd has been campaigning. I've seen him meeting the old, meeting the young people, and also as a young person, even though it's unfortunate that he had to come for the seat after the death of the father, it does not come out. For the Ngondowere's son, Boyd does not come out as the son of Ngondowere. Boyd has been campaigning. And really, I understand that Oyugi Magwanga might have personal differences with the late father. But taking that to the son and of course using that bile, probably I agree with Millie Odhiambo on that. But I was just showing that to see the kind of tension that is going on. And of course, because that area was marred with some violence, it will not be right at this point to bring in that conversation about the violence between the two. In Ugenya, Moses Omondi, Atur, and ZB are the only candidates eyeing the ODM ticket. All the other candidates have gone for the other fringe parties. It is very clear that the party is losing its grip. And in Kakamega, Malava, by election, ODM do not even have a candidate until Fernandez Baraza is backing the ODM, the UDA candidate there. Now, I want to take the next 3 minutes, then I'll be out of your way to explain some 2 factors here. The probable scenarios that why RUTO is dangling with Raila bid. Number 1, Raila bid will scuttle the united opposition this way. Do you remember Oka? Oka used to have Gideon Moi, Kalonzo, Wetangula, and Mudavadi. By the time we were getting to 2022 general election, when Mudavadi and Wetangula went on the side of William Ruto, and then Gideon Moi and Kalonzo came on the side of Raila. By that time, Raila had not announced his bid. Now, one thing that will play at this, the president is at the scheme of dividing that united opposition, because truth be said, I know things have not been so much strong, but if that team remains strong and they put their best foot, they can really give William Ruto a difficult run for his money in 2027. Very difficult run. Yeah. So this will, someone is looking at Raila bid, that in any case they don't fail to agree, then Raila will then go buy 1 or 2, be used some money to go and buy Kindiki, go and buy Rigathi as the running mate, or probably go and buy Kalonzo or someone as the running mate, and so we have a rerun of 2022 general election, 2022 general election. I think Ruto would want such a playbook than the new dynamic. People are just making fun, but I want to say this, people are just playing riddles. But Ruto will not want to face Kindiki. Ruto will not want to face Matiang'i in 2027. You don't know what that candidate can pull. That's a new candidate. You don't know what candidate that candidate has pulled. Raila Odinga is a player, is one of the best players, but as a player that has been with injuries. So when he comes back to the field, you're not sure whether he's going to regain his form. And truly, he might not regain his form. He's lost the touch of the people. But today, if he crosses over, probably it will be a redemption moment for him. Then the other thing I see here is, and we've really discussed with some senior members of this channel, that 2027 general election would be very dangerous if there will be any plan to rig an election and Raila and Ruto are on one side. So maybe the intelligence are also of the opinion that there should be 2 antagonisms, so that in any case things are broken, you can have someone who can cross over that side and bungle his bid. I want you to imagine that there is a stalemate, and who is the other side is Rigathi and Kalonzo and Matiang'i. Maybe I've never known Matiang'i can be crossed, but do you think Rigathi will give in? So probably William Ruto will want to create a new enemy, and that new enemy could be in Raila Odinga. Within the ODM party, there is a team pushing to delay Raila's succession. If Raila is not on the ballot, then we'll have to pick his successor in 2027. Because if he's not on the ballot, and as Nani said, the turnout was 68%. A situation where he is not on the ballot, is he going to attract the numbers? If there is no one there, even to boost that number to around 50% turnout, he might have to point someone. Whoever they pointed as a running mate or a senior most position will then assume the mantle from Odinga. And there are people that will not want that to happen. Probably they want that to happen when Raila is dead. And no, of course, death is a phenomenon that we cannot predict, but Raila is also mortal, so he can also die. The other factor I also wanted to bring out is ODM party badge in the next election. There are people that cannot get their positions, and they're coming under intense threat from the independent candidates. And they cannot even get their position. I might be shocked. You see, even Wanga has been hyped as a performer. But if Wanga faces Magwanga in the next election as deputy, he might face it rough. Even go to Siaya, Odour will give Orengo a run for his money. Yes, even in Kisumu, the ODM candidate will face it very rough. Same to Homa Bay, and you can't name them. And even here in Nairobi. So there's a little bit of that. And I think Odinga, the team that are trying to revive the ODM badge, that's why they can spend everything to make sure they bring their numbers to Mombasa for the ODM at 20. And because that is actually their survival path. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's meet in the next. Thank you.